All right, so while I was on the run, I actually bettered myself. I went to school, went to college, got a degree. I opened up a couple businesses, actually a few. I'm even opening up more. I'm investing in more. I'm learning a lot every day and I'm learning better as a person. I'm hiring people who are ex convicts who have troubles in life. I'm doing a lot and I'm trying to help out the next person. And that is my goal in life. And I hopefully you get motivated by what I'm doing and inspires you to do the same thing. So that is a short rundown of what I've been doing. So I've been telling my story. This is part 3 of it. So you guys know I was hiding in the basement. Cops caught me, dragged me, had the dog bite me. I'm bleeding everywhere. They interrogate me for some crimes that I didn't have nothing to do with, all because when I left, the people that I had helping me out doing what I was doing, they continued doing it, but took it to a whole nother level. I'm talking about they were holding people hostage. They were breaking into people's houses. They even set some old couple on fire. They didn't die, but they set them on fire. I don't know why they did that. There was even a murder involved. All kind of things went down with these people after I left. I had to take a lie detector test, had to prove that I was not even in the state when it was going down. And thank God they believe me. Give you an example. One guy's doing 90 something years. Another guy's doing 60 something years. Another guy's doing 30. I think another guy's doing 17. One guy's doing 4, or he did 7 years. That's because he told on everybody else, pretty much. But just to let you know, that's pretty much the people that I had doing. That's what they're doing now. They're never getting out at all. So I left, dodged the situation, and just did my little bit of time. Now, so um, when they catch me, right, I go to jail. They give me a public defender. The public defender was decent. He tells me that he's going to get me basically a halfway house. Now, here's the funny thing. So I'm sitting in jail and I'm getting visits for some people. So one girl comes up to me. She goes, "Hey, you know your friend has been telling on you. Your friend has told on you about everything." I'm like, "My friend's told on me? What do you mean my friend's told on me?" She's like, "Your friend's been telling you about everything." So she goes, "Remember with the 2 cars that was in your parking lot and you looked out the window and the cars weren't there?" Now, the funny thing is, I told her something about that, but I didn't tell her to the degree. Now, I looked out the window. There was 2 cars in my parking lot. Those 2 cars are not there. Instead, there was cops everywhere. Now, this is when I left that first time I went to Vegas. And I told you guys, it was life or death situation. So, cops knocking on my door, banging on my door, and I basically did not answer. I wait for the cops to leave. Once they leave, I'll crawl out the side window and I dip, and that's when I left the whole state, went to Vegas. So she was like, "Remember when those cars were there?" He was one of the people who were responsible for telling on you, and because he knew where the cars are there, and I didn't want to believe her. I'm like, "Yeah, well, whatever." And she goes, "And also, he told the police that you were hiding in that crawl space in the basement." Still didn't want to believe her. Whatever. So just to give you a little of what I was going through. So I'm in jail for about maybe a couple months. I get sentenced to a work release program. Now, this work release program is in downtown Colorado Springs. This is in a jail called Metro. Metro does no longer exist. Metro was a place where we used to send these violent criminals and people who were bad, and they used to call it Gladiator School. And nobody wanted to go to Metro. Metro got shut down. Thank God. It was not good for anybody working there or being incarcerated there. Now, they had a work release program too. The work release, they will let you out during a certain amount of day. You have to turn yourself back in after you get done with work. So myself, I'm working one day, we get off early or something like that. So when we get off early, I end up going with some friends to a house to go have some drinks. I get some drinks. I get a little too much to drink, and I'm going back to work release. Now, I go back, and as I'm going back, there's a lineup of people going in to check in. One guy goes, "Hey, guess what they're doing?" What are they doing? They are breathalyzing people. My luck. So, I don't walk in. I turn my ass around and leave. Never be seen again. I'm gone. Peace. Not me. So, when I left, I ended up getting with a friend of mine who was in the military, who else he went AWOL and left too, right? So we're together. We're going to go pick up somebody. We pull up in this parking lot to pick somebody up, and the person doesn't come out. We're waiting 10 minutes, and all of a sudden, a cop car pulls up behind us for no reason and wants to walk over to us and get our name. So eventually, after about 20, 30 minutes of us not giving names, fuck it, they arrest us, we go to jail. I had a warrant for me on my first escape charge. To this day, I believe the person we were picking up set us up. It only made sense, right? I never saw the paperwork on it, so I can't prove it, but I believe that person set us up. Because we were on, I believe I was on Crime Stoppers the first time, and there was a reward money out, especially for me. So they pick us up, we go to jail, and when we go to jail, there was a lot of different things that was going on at that time. So at that time, I'm still with my son's mom. We're going back and forth. We're doing all kind of things. I get a court-appointed attorney because I fired my public defender. My court-appointed attorney finally shows me my discovery, which paperwork that shows who's told on me for these crimes. Sure enough, the person who was visiting me in jail was right. My friend, who I called my friend, was the one who was telling on me this whole time. So, not once, but twice, and got 2 rewards off me. Come, go figure, right? So, whatever. I'm looking at 15, 20 years prison or something like that. So, my court-appointed attorney gets me 10 years. I agreed to a plea of 10 years prison time. The judge tells me that I am a nonviolent offender and that he recommends me for the boot camp prison program. Now, they don't have that no more, but they did back then. So they send me to a prison facility outside Denver. I'm sitting there for about 6 months waiting. I have to get evaluated. They do tests with you. They do an IQ test. They do physical tests. They do a lot of things to make sure you can go to this boot camp. So I'm waiting about 6 months. While I'm in this prison, it opens up my eyes. It really opens up my eyes. I'm in a medium facility, and I've never been to a place like that before. My cellmate, kid you or not, was there on a life charge because he killed his girlfriend who was also pregnant. And that was who my cellmate was. And he's on my bottom bunk, and I got to sleep with him every night for the next 6 months. So it wakes you up of, the people you're around, the things you did. You're like, I'm not so bad. I remember this guy. They need to let me out. So they end up sending me to another facility out in Buena Vista. I'm sorry, South Park, Colorado. South Park really exists for you people. There's a South Park. They send me out there. I'm out there for another month. Then I finally go to Buena Vista, Colorado, which is a prison facility there. Now there they had the boot camp program. We go there with about a good 100 people. 100 people. By the time the prison boot camp was finished, which it took 5.5 months, by the time it was done, we graduated with 22 people out of 100. Now, let me tell you something. Out of 100 people, 4 of them were females. All 4 made it. All 4. 18 men, 4 females. The biggest, toughest gangsters that you can think of were in there, and they were crying by the second week. They could not take it because they beat you down. They talked about your mom. They got kind of physical with you. You couldn't do anything back, and if you did, you got kicked out right away. It was very intense. It was hectic. One of the hardest things I did in my life, but I did it. Not only did I did it, I graduated with honors, and I got all kind of recommendation letters from those drill sergeants. So when I graduate, here is when everything went down, pretty much. I'm waiting to be reconsidered. I'm waiting to go back to the county to go to court. They call my name. I'm thinking it's the bus to go back. They say, no, they got to see you in the counselor's office. So I walk to the counselor's office. I open it up. She's sitting in there, and there's a priest in there. They tell me to sit down. Then the lady tells me there's some bad news, that there has been an accident, and that my son was involved in this car accident. And unfortunately, he passed away. He didn't make it, and he died at the scene. So that right there was very stressful, painful, dramatic for me. I can't even describe the feeling. I did everything I could in my power to get back out to him so I could be the dad that I needed to be and wanted to be, that I wasn't. And for that to happen, I felt like the biggest failure, and I felt like it was all my fault and my mistake. And until this day, I still have to fight those feelings. I wake up every day and still think those things. His mom was the one driving the car. Now, it's not her fault, but I know that she probably still wakes up and thinks the same thing, right? But the difference is she's out there grieving, I'm in a place where I can't grieve. I can't do anything. So they let me make one phone call. I'll call the hospital. The people that pick up the phone, I won't say names, won't let me talk to my son's mother. They won't let me talk to her for some reason. But they tell me everything is true. They tell me kind of what happened and everything, and hang up the phone, and then I have to go back to where I was at around other inmates and everything. So very stressful. So I end up going to my reconsideration date. The judge finds out what happens to me. He finds out, and he finds out about my son. The DA stands up. They're recommending me, saying that, hey, I don't deserve prison. I graduated the boot camp program. I did great. So the judge says, I'm going to knock your sentence down from 10 years to 4 years, and I'm going to give you a halfway house. So he sends me to the halfway house program. So I go to the halfway house program. Now, when my son passed away, they did let me go to the funeral. Now, his funeral was held at a different place, and he got buried at a cemetery. I was not allowed to go to the cemetery, but I was allowed to go to the funeral. The cemetery where he was buried at is no more than 10, 15 minutes away from the halfway house. So my whole goal was, hey, I want to go visit my son. I want to make that last piece. I never got a chance to grieve or any of that. So let me go make my last piece of my son. So I talked to the counselor. I asked her, what can I do to go to the graveyard? She tells me, I'll let you go if you get a job, you pay your first month's rent, you pay your first fines, you pay your restitution payment, then you can go because now you've proven to me that you're trusted, you can go out. Fine. I go out and get not one, but 2 jobs. I'm working day and night. I sleep maybe 3 hours a day. I work for 3 weeks. I get my first check in those 3 weeks in birth jobs. I basically hand my whole check over to the halfway house. Here's rent for a month and a half. Here's payments for my restitution, my fines, and everything else. She tells me that I'm not allowed to go. I say, why? She said because the graveyard has no landline phones. Why? Now listen, when you're in a halfway house, you're allowed to go get hygiene products from Target, Walmart, and everything else. You don't have to call when you get there. They just give you a 2-hour pass, and you're allowed to go get your hygiene and come back. But they can't give me a pass to go see my son at the graveyard. I really thought that was screwed up. So I end up leaving. I got my head down. I'm walking out of her office. I'm passing the front desk where you check in, check out. There's a guy standing there. He hears what happened. He goes, tell you what, I'll let you go visit the graveyard, but you have to hurry up. You only got 20, 30 minutes. I'm going to cover for you. I'll check out and say you went somewhere. All right, I leave. I'm happy. I finally get to the graveyard to see my son. It's like 6:37 at night. It's getting dark. There's a cop sitting there. I try to walk past the cop. The cop tells me, no, I can't go. I'm like, why? He's like, because it's closed. The graveyard is closed. I cannot get in. Man, the luck I was having. I was so stressed. I leave. I go back to the halfway house. I go into the office to go check back in. The guy who let me go is not even there. Instead, who's standing there? The damn counselor who told me I couldn't go in the first place. What does the counselor tell me? You are not where you're supposed to be. I just called the police and you're going back to prison. I could not take it. I flipped everything. I ran off. Now, my mind was in a place that nobody can talk me out of. There was nobody to talk to about your kid passing away. There was nothing. I never got a chance to grieve. It was very stressful. So I left, ran, never turned around, and that was the start of me and my 15-year journey of being on the run and using different names. That right there was the key factor in everything. Now, if you have any questions, please comment down below. Let me know. I'll respond to your questions. One of the last videos I'm going to do is I'm going to answer a lot of questions. I'm going to tell you how I did some of the things, even open up some of my businesses while I wasn't around. I'm going to tell you a lot of things. So make sure you stay tuned. I'm going to let you know that the next video is not going to be so long because I have some time to do some videos for you guys now. So hope you guys take care. Please leave comments for the algorithm. I want my story to get out. And I want the world to know about what happened to me, and hopefully it doesn't happen to the next person, all right? You guys take care. Love you guys. Peace.